Before I start the video, I just have to say, God damn, Konami, you actually did good with these recent chibi mats. I mean, Joey, Time Wizard, Red Eyes. Come to think of it, I think this is only the second mat that English has that has Red Eyes on it. Hopefully, when Clash of Rebellion comes out, Black Flare or Flare Metal is gonna get his own mat, possibly for the regional seasons. I hope so. That being said, let's get started with this. Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner into a Newgioh deck profile. Yes, you heard that right, I said Newgioh. The reason for that is that I've been playing a little bit under this modified version of the GOAT format and it's been pretty fun. The basic idea of Newgioh is that it takes a lot of things from GOAT control, or rather the GOAT format, but it changes them so that that format is no longer stale because, well, as one of my friends said, we have quote-unquote broken GOAT, or rather we have fixed GOAT format in that a lot of the things that can be done have been done. There's not really a whole lot left for innovation in the format aside from just constantly tweaking here and there, whereas Newgioh is now a brand new take on the format because of certain ban list hits that have been done, like BLS is gone, Ring is gone, Duo is gone. Other cards have been also hit. Giant Trinade is now at 1, Cold Wave got hit, Dimension Fusion is at 1 because of the incredibly powerful deck that Joe Giolando came up with. Breaker of the Magical Warriors now at 2, DD Warrior Ladies at 3. And because of this, certain decks are viable. And because of the introduction of new cards such as Tour Guide from the Underworld, Newgioh Sheldon, Horde and the Phantom Beast, and Acid Golem into the format, certain decks are also different. Like, right now, the best deck in the game is without a doubt Chaos, and it's not even a question. Like, Chaos is aggressive, Chaos has plays for days, it can run a lot of decks out of options, and Tour Guide from the Underworld is incredibly broken in this format, and I hope it gets hit, as it's something that you just throw 3 of it in just about every deck. Every deck is playing it. It makes certain cards weaker in the format and certain cards better in the format. And I hope they address this on the next list because, yeah, I really do think that the card's not healthy for the game. Some people will disagree with me on that, but as time goes on, people are going to be like, man, I'm getting real tired of just seeing Chaos everywhere. But anyway, so the deck I have for this format, though, is not Chaos. I haven't finished that yet. Instead, I decided to just be cheeky and build Zoo, which is the Beast Down deck that sees play here or there. The basic reason why I'm building this deck is that Horde of the Phantom Beast is legal in here. I have 3. I'm going to use them. And yeah, that's just basically it. Like, it's a stun-ish deck because of some of the cards in here. Some of the beasts currently available in this format are decent. The really good ones have low stats, which is unfortunate. And I've noticed that I have problems getting over certain attack barriers without Horn, which is an issue that I will have to address in a later build. But for the time being, though, this is the build I ran for just learning the format. I played about 10 to 11 games the other day, and I won most of them, except against Chaos. I lost most of that because of just it being an awful matchup, and meant side decking was going to be needed for that. But anyway, let's get started on this, and I'll explain stuff. So, the monsters begin with King Tiger Wang, who is without the best card in the deck. Blowing up any monster with 1400 attack or less when they're summoned is powerful in this format, as it means battle recruiters like Mystic Tomato suddenly become awful. The Tour Guy play is not viable because he'll blow up this guy. Yeah, you can also blow up the Sign Guy, which is an issue, but you still are taking away their 2 monsters, which is nice. He blows up Scapegoat tokens, and he's really strong against the zombie deck too, as they can't use Pyramid Turtle. They have to try and crash Mizuki into this and such forth. So this is the guy I want to see as soon as possible and protect, as he allows me to slow my opponent down while I set up my back row and my overall win condition of just locking my opponent out of the game with big monsters. And then 3 copies of Pitchback Warwolf. This guy makes it so your opponent can activate trap cards during the battle phase, which is actually really annoying for certain decks, as it shuts off Mirror Force, Magic Cylinder, Sakuretsu Armor, Call the Haunted, and it just ensures that my guys can attack safely, as basically the only means of mass destruction that will really affect this deck are Vortex, Tribe Infecting Virus, and Torrential Tribute. And those cards you can at least use Solemn with, or somewhat recover, because yeah, this deck does not like mass destruction at all, and this guy at least keeps you safe from some of it. In addition to that, 1600 attack is pretty decent. 2 copies of Berserk Gorilla for big beats. He's 2000 attack, which is actually relevant. It allows you to beat over 1900 defense monsters such as Set Xarion Universes and Skilled White Magician. Unfortunately, he has to attack when he can, so if your opponent decides to set a Battle Recruiter, then they'll obviously get it off because he has to swing it, and if he goes to defense, he dies, which, yeah, that kind of sucks. But under Skill Drain, though, this thing's stupid. 2 copies of Bazoo the Soul Eater. He's there just to out certain monsters that are too big for me to deal with without my back row. As I've already mentioned, that getting over certain attack barriers is hard, like 1700 attack is annoying, as only Berserk Gorilla is able to really get over that. Monarchs are also kind of big, or rather the Monarch stat line monsters, so Ryu, Koki, Monarchs. And Bazoo allows me to do that, as by banishing one monster, he becomes as big as Breaker. So if Breaker is in play, I can just banish 1 and Suicide if need be. But if I banish 2, then I can get over Breaker and Cyber Dragon. And if I banish 3, I can get over Monarchs. So that's why he's in here. I'm not running 3 though, because he's awful early game. And then for my one-of monsters, 1 copy of Chiron the Mage. Chiron allows you to discard a spell in order to blow up back row. So he's just there to out things like Royal Decree, which can be a problem, or Card of Safe Return. He's there so that I have like more means of blowing up things, or rather blowing up back row. And he's also Agent of Attack, which is nice. And finally, in Enraged Battle Ox, he gives all the monsters in this deck piercing, which is always helpful given that there are Goat tokens. Spirit Reaper is often a problem for this deck to get over, as I don't run a lot of means of getting around it. My main idea with dealing with the Reaper was, I'll just use things like Snatch Steal, Book, Knock to deal with it, or in this case, just keep beating it over for pierce damage, which, truth be told, it actually did work for a couple of my games. But yeah, I've noticed that Reaper is a bit of an issue, and I've also noticed that Tsukiyomi is a big problem for this deck to deal with, as she can get over everything, and I've had to tweak my lineup of traps a little bit to compensate for that. For the spells, 2 copies of Book. I'm running multiple books in here. A card that initially was not good in this format has now become a lot better because of 2 breakers being a thing. Because Breaker is seeing play in just about everything, non-changeable back row is is like only the really strong ones such as Mirror Force and actually I'm trying to think about what all the limited non-changeables are, but some of the really good ones like Mirror Force, Sakuretsu, and such are a bit vulnerable, are very vulnerable to Breaker. So cards like Bottomless and Book of Moon that stop Breaker from doing things on summon are really nice. Book also allows me to turn my opponent's cards down so I can beat them over with my monsters, and it just combos nicely with Knock, which is just generally a strong card in here because people will set things like Reaper, Battle Recruiters, Flip Monsters. One of my friends plays Dekoichi in his deck, so I was able to just cut that shit out. Knocked on Morphing Jar. A lot of good things to hit in this format, actually. Don't see why you wouldn't play Knock in your main. And for my power cards, Graceful, Storm, Vortex, Mystical, Pot, Premature, and Snatch Steal. All really, really good. Then for the traps, which I run a fair amount of, 3 copies of Horn of the Phantom Beast. It's one of the main reasons to play this deck. You equip it to a beast, it gets 20-headed attack, and when it kills something in battle and sends it to the graveyard, you draw a card. So it allows you to get over monster threats, such as when your opponent tries to run over your enraged, or rather, when your opponent tries to run over your King Tiger, you can just equip this with a horn, and then King Tiger becomes almost difficult to kill, and get to draw cards, which is always nice. And then for the other 3 Solemns, because now that Ring is banned, this card's good. Like, Solemn has saved my ass too many times. Heavy Storm, Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, Chaos Sorcerer, Tsukiyomi. I've had to Solemn some things I didn't want to Solemn just because I would have lost otherwise, but it keeps me in there. Solemn is a card that is always live. Obviously, it's costly in the early game, but as the game goes on and on, Solemn just becomes stronger and stronger. And in this deck, Solemn is very essential as it protects your back row from power cards such as Heavy Storm. 2 copies of Bottom's Trap Hole, already talked about why multiples of these are good. 2 copies of Sakuretsu Armor, just to deal with the Tsukiyomi threat that people do play, also to deal with battle recruiters such as Mystic Tomato. 2 copies of Oppression and 2 copies of Skill Draining for my Floodgates. They're kind of really strong. And then for my limited traps, Mirror Force, GT, and Dust Shoot. So that's it for the deck itself. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly did. I don't know if I'll have another Newgioh deck up anytime soon. I am going to try and get some games recorded though, because there's about 4 people right now at my locals that do play in this format, and getting some games between them for this channel would be nice to have. And I'm curious to see if you guys are also playing Newgioh, and if you are, what kind of decks are you playing? Are you playing Beasts? Are you playing Chaos? Are you playing Zombies? Or are you playing something else, like something that abuses limited removal, which is something I want to do before that card is inevitably axed, because, yeah, limited removal is kind of really stupid, and it's at 3. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, this is Blue Star 99, Jack me out.